Hello everyone. In this lesson, we are going to do word problems related to slope-intercept form. So this is lesson 3.5, part 2. So we're going to do a word problem, and then we're also going to look at parallel lines. So the first example here, it says, to get from one floor to another at a library, you can take either the stairs or the escalator. You can climb the stairs at a rate of 1.75 feet per second, and the escalator rises at a rate of 2 feet per second. You have to travel a vertical distance of 28 feet. So remember, in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So m represents the rate, or your slope, and b represents the starting position in a word problem. So write the equations to model the vertical distance d you have left to travel after t seconds. So the distance d represents the amount you have left to travel. So first of all, if we put this in slope-intercept form, d is going to be like our y value, so your vertical distance, the y is the vertical, and the rate would be, for the stairs, would be 1.75, so we would write 1.75 t is your x variable, and then the y-intercept is the initial amount. So the initial amount you have left to travel for both the stairs and the escalator is 28 feet. So this would be d equals 1.75 t plus 28. The escalator is the same except for the rate is 2. So d equals 2t plus 28. Okay, graph the equations in the same coordinate plane. All right, so for our stairs, we have a y-intercept of 28. So remember, the steps to graphing would be to plot 28, plot the y-intercept, and then we could use the slope to get the t-intercept, but in this case, the slope is kind of funny. So instead, what we're going to do is we're actually going to find the t-intercept by setting d equal to 0. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to do this in purple. So 0 equals 1.75 t plus 28. Oh, hold on one second. We forgot about one particular thing here. Since you are going down, since the amount you have left to travel is actually decreasing, then the rate in this case should be negative. So you need to write negative 1.75 t and then negative 2t. Sorry about that. All right, so here we actually have negative 1.75. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the 1.75t over to the other side, and then divide each side by 1.75. So t is equal to 28 over 1.75 would be 16. Sorry, I had to look at my notes for a minute. Okay, so the t-intercept then for the stairs is 16. So here, the graph over here goes 4, 8, 12, 16, and it starts at 28. So then we're going to draw a line going through those points. You might want to color code your lines if possible, or at least label them. So this one would be the stairs. All right, now for the escalator, we would do the same thing. Set d equal to 0, add the 2t over, and t equals 14. So here it starts at 28, and then it reaches the bottom. This means it reaches the bottom after 14 seconds, which should make sense because the escalator, you're assuming that the escalator is going to take less time, and it should also, because we know that the rate is higher, not by very much. So you're walking pretty quickly related to the escalator. Okay, so part C says, how much time do you save by taking the escalator? Okay, let's also label this, as escalator. Okay, so the answer to part C then would be 2 seconds. And you can see that by the difference of the y-intercepts is 2. All Right, so let's look at parallel lines. So two lines in the same plane are parallel, and the symbol for parallel is a two slashed lines like that are parallel if they do not intersect. And then remember that slope gives the rate at which a line rises or falls, so two lines with the same slope are parallel. So if they have the same slope, then they're going to increase at the same rate and they're never going to intersect. So that's how we figure out if two lines are parallel. We figure out what the slopes are. If you're given a graph like this with coordinates, then what you would need to do is to find the slope of each of the lines. Don't just do it by eyeballing it because they could be similar, but maybe just a little bit off. So we have to find the slope of each of these. Now the good news is if you do have this on a plane, you can do rise over run to figure out the slope. So for example, with the blue line, I'm going to say m sub a. So the slope m of line A would be, the rise would be from this point to that point would be 1. And then the run would be 1, 2, 3. So notice that these are all sloping up, so the slopes should all be positive. Okay, let's find the slope of line B using the actual formula for slope. You can do it by doing rise over run, but I'm just going to show with the formula. So it'd be -1 minus -3, so -1 plus 3 over 5 minus 0. So this would be 2/5. Now notice that line A and B do really look parallel, but they're actually not because they don't have the same slope. So for this one, you can't say that they are parallel. Now, if you didn't do this, you might have said that A and B are parallel, but now you know that they're not. Okay, and then the slope of line C, I'm going to do rise over run again. So to get from this point to that point, we could go up 1, 2. So you rise 2, and then you run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which simplifies to 1/3. So now we know that line A is parallel to line C. Okay, and by justifying your answer mathematically, that would mean finding the slopes of each line and confirming that they are parallel, not just guessing. All right, and here's another little problem for slope. Find the value of k so that the line passing through the given points are parallel. So we have line 1 that goes through these 2 points and line 2 that goes through these 2 points. So what we're going to do to solve these is to set up the slope formula, and if they are parallel, then they would be equal to each other. So for line 1, we'll do 0 minus -2, which is 0 plus 2, over 0 minus -4, which is 0 plus 4. And then that should be equal to the slope of line 2. So we're going to do 5 minus 7 over k minus 2. Right now, the next step you would take would be to simplify. So this would be 2 over 4, which simplifies to 1/2. And this would be -2 over k minus 2. So what you might notice is that now you have a proportion. One thing that some students might like to do is just to compare and maybe problem solve with what k would be. But I think that the best method for most of us would be to cross multiply at this point. So do 1 times k minus 2 equals 2 times -2. Now, when you did 1 times k minus 2, you don't really need to put the 1 in the parentheses, so I'm going to actually get rid of that. Okay, and then 2 times -2 is -4. All right, so now we're going to add 2 to both sides, so we get that k is -2. Okay, and then you can also check your answer. So if you plug -2 back in here, this would be -2 minus 2 is -4, so you have -2 over -4, which is +1/2. So the slopes are both 1/2 for